All right, guys, welcome back to another episode of the Atlantic Strong podcast. I'm your host, Jordan Dickens, and tonight we have Pat Kerr, who came in third at Atlantic Canada Strongest Man last year. Pat, thanks for coming on.
Absolutely. Thanks for having me. A pleasure.
First things first, where are you from and what do you do?
So I'm originally born in Lindsay, grew up and raised in Bethany, Ontario, a little farming community. Lived there till most of my life till about 23. Joined the Navy, moved out, did my basic in Montreal, my engineering threes out west in Victoria, BC, and then got posted out to Halifax. Been here ever since.
So how long have you been in Halifax?
Just over 5 years, I believe. So
Okay.
Marine engineer for the Navy here in Halifax.
Right on. And
Yeah.
you're in port right now, but you've gone to sea a few times already.
Yeah, I did the in 2017. I did the op renaissance for the Hater mission down there for humanitarian aid.
Yep.
Then in 2018, I with another strongman too, Jarvis Wills there. I went did 7 months overseas there in the Baltic and the Med.
Right on.
Yeah.
About this time last year, I was over in England doing a project for work, and the project manager was a bosun in the Canadian Navy during the Gulf War.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, so we actually we had a day off, and we ended up at the Naval Museum in Portsmouth.
Okay, I've been to Portsmouth there. Yeah.
Because all the equipment is basically the same.
Yeah.
We spent the whole day there. It was me and him and another guy who'd been like a 50-year veteran of a merchant navy. He was a captain on a cargo tanker towards the end of his career before he landed at Irving. So we spent the whole day at the museum in Portsmouth, and they were in their glory. It was wild.
Did you get aboard the Victory there?
Yeah, actually, you know what? I'll show you a picture. We did the Victory, and we did. There was one other one that was up and running, or for tours. I forget what it was now.
I mean, that's pretty wicked timing to actually be over there to be able to do it without everything getting shut down, right? Like just before.
We got back to Canada like a week before everything shut down.
Yeah.
But that's us in front of the Victory,
isn't it? Yeah.
It was wild. So we ended up not the Victory, but there was another one that was a hybrid, a steam screw, or a sail steam.
So it'd be like the first ironclad, maybe.
Yeah, actually, I think it was a little newer than that. We ended up down in the engine room.
Okay.
And there was an older guy doing the tour.
Yeah.
I think he must have been in his 60s or 70s, and he was telling us all about these steam driven engines, and it was obvious that he didn't just know everything about that engine. He knew everything about every single engine ever. And so he said, where are you guys from? And I said, we're from St. John, New Brunswick. He said, St. John, New Brunswick. He goes, I was on the HMS Erebus or something like that in 1974, and we had a port day in St. John, New Brunswick, and did the Moosehead Brewery tour.
Good night.
He goes, is that still there? Yeah, it's still there.
It's the exact now, same.
Yeah. Yeah, so it's just such a small world. So to get back to what we're to talk about tonight, when did you get into training, into lifting weights?
So, well, this is a loaded question here. So I got into lifting weights. I was about 16 in high school. I was always a very, very chubby kid, very large, but I liked to eat. And I was about in grade 8, I was about 240 pounds, and I wasn't the same height, so it gives you a little bit of math there. And through high school, I started to kind of change. I started to get into weights, because of movies, and then my dad was a big, strong man, so I was like, well, I want to be like my father, and that gave me the switch. But I got kind of intelligently lifting weights maybe only about 4 years ago, and then only into strongman maybe about 3 years ago, but I took a year off for a couple things.
Yeah.
So my Garrett Dobson, actually, he's the one that asked. He said if I want to go do an event with him, and that was in PEI. That was in October 2018, Strongtober. So we went and did that. We actually competed as lightweights at the time. I was 218. I cut weight to get there, and now I'm probably about 285. So I probably won't be cutting anytime soon.
Yeah, Strongtober. That's Ryan Marsh runs that event usually.
Yeah, and that's a new or naturally fit PEI.
I think so. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, that was my first event there. That's when I did. And then that year, the next year I went into the Highland Games for a little bit. I ended up tearing my rotator cuff in my right shoulder. So kind of slowed back down into the strongman again. And then this last year I did the 2 competitions, and then been kind of in it ever since.
So when you did Atlantics last year, that was only your 3rd strongman competition.
Absolutely.
So you did Strongtober in 2018, and then the Raw Power event,
and then
Atlantics, and came in 3rd in Open.
Yeah.
That's wild.
But we've just when I say intelligent lifting, we've been lifting for a while, but I kind of knew that I was going to make that kind of avenue change. So I started already tapering my lifting towards strongman, but just never had a contest to go into, right?
Yeah. Yeah. And I mean, it really seems to vary year to year how many competitions there's going to be in Atlantic Canada. I mean, there was 7 last year, including Newfoundland. There was 7, which is great, considering that half the year we were all pretty much locked down for COVID. But
yeah,
sometimes it's a lot less than that.
Yeah. I remember when I first got out here, started looking. It was 2018. It was not that it was hard for me to find events, but I wasn't kind of in the community, the strength community, so I didn't really know who to ask and where to go. And if you don't know who to ask, you can't just really Google. Well, you can Google, but nothing's going to come up, right?
But you're not going to find anything.
Yeah,
it's crazy to think that even 2 or 3 years ago, it was not readily available to find a competition in Atlantic Canada, but they were going on.
Yeah.
And if you didn't know anybody, you didn't know about the competition.
Yeah.
And so it's kind of it's nice to see how far we've come, where there's not that high barrier of entry to get into competing.
Yeah. Well, yeah, which is nice too for those who do want to try to get into it, right?
Yeah. I mean, unless you're in the Halifax area or Pictou, or you're training with Alex Wallace and PEI, you're not going to get into the scene, really.
Yeah. I think for the longest time, we really only had in the HRM area was Mark McManus was with that gym there, right? With Renfrew. And aside from that, like only until like Raw Power opened up, and then Dave's or Prime's got a couple things, but that's pretty much it for strongman or those gyms, like for our area, right? Yeah. Until you go into Pick2, like you say, and then PI.
And I mean, in New Brunswick, there's nothing.
Really?
Yeah, there's so.
And that's why you're building up the New Brunswick, trying to make an annual event, which you can kind of date it for, right?
Yeah. So Renfrew's always going to do something end of February, early March. And then Atlantics, aside from last year, Atlantics is first or second weekend of July. So I wanted to get something kind of after Renfrew's event, but before trailer season starts for me, because I don't want to be running a strongman event after Victoria Day weekend.
Yeah.
So I'm hoping that I can build on this, and it'll be every April going forward.
And that's easier for the competitors too, right? Because then they can plan accordingly.
Yeah, exactly. Like I was already planning. Now I'm not going to be able to do record breakers because the bubble's not going to be open. But as soon as Atlantics finished last year, I started planning for a competition in end of February, early March.
Mm-hmm. And that's one reason. Like I know you opened up the event in New Brunswick there to other competitors, but with the bubble being closed, like obviously nothing I can do.
Yeah,
but that's one of my concerns as well. Actually, is for the May event, because I'm really looking forward for the teams event. But if the bubble doesn't open up again, there's, all the teams from Halifax, New Brunswick are allowed in PI.
Yeah, I really don't know what Zane will do if the bubble's not open. I think, for the size and the scope of the event that he's planning, he's
Yeah.
gonna have to he's gonna have to push that back to the bubble's open.
Yeah.
Because he'll only get one or two teams for men and women.
Yeah.
I mean, he's planning a big, heavy event.
It looks good. It sounds great on paper. I love the fact the stadium, the jumbotron,
Yeah,
and then even with COVID, COVID restrictions, they can still fit 500 people in there.
yeah. But I mean, if he can't get the 2 or 3 teams from New Brunswick and 3 or 4 teams from Nova Scotia, he's not going to have much of an event.
And that first event, you want to make sure you got a good foot to stand on for everyone to come back, right?
Yeah. So for mine, I've been lucky. I've almost filled open men already, and I filled novice lightweight men is full, and it's actually looking really, really competitive for both those categories. So hopefully, building on that, when the bubble's open next year, hopefully it'll be even better.
Yep. That's good that you have the lightweight there too. If I was to run an event, I would have the different weight classes because it's not fair to anyone under 220 to go against someone that's 340 pounds, right? And
Yeah,
even
exactly.
even Worlds and Arnold's have weight classes, so
yeah, it's just about you want to put on a heavy competitive show for the open men and the open women, but you have to have those weight classes to fill out the competition and
absolutely,
and give everybody a chance to at least try it.
Absolutely.
So I mean, I think that of the 8 lightweight men right now, none of them have competed in strongman.
I was going to say, well, if there wasn't the lightweight event in 2018 for myself, I might not even be in strongman right
now. You know what? It's the same for me. Renfrew did kind of their first annual winter event in 2018, and they had the same classes that I have, novice, lightweight, and heavyweight. And if they had never had that, I don't think I would have ever got into it.
Really? You're a natural on it. I think the yoke is one of my weaknesses, and that's something you just walk right by me, the one Atlantics.
Yeah, and I just got my own yoke.
I saw that.
So, before Atlantics, I trained on the yoke one time before Atlantics.
Yeah.
I trained on it one time before Heavier Than Hell. So I'm really hoping now that I have my own, I'll get pretty good at it.
And then, just be careful that yoke flu. Like you said, I did yoke and squats yesterday, and I was like, why am I coughing today?
People, so I've got a group chat going with a lot of guys that are going to be competing for the first time in April. And I told them, yoke flu and stone flu are real things. And so you do a couple heavy yoke runs or you do a solid stone training session, you're going to be knocked out for a couple days.
Yeah, CNS just fried.
Oh, it's crazy. It's a whole body workout.
Yeah, it is.
And you do a couple really heavy yoke runs, and it knocks me out for a day or two. The stones for me is even worse.
Oh, the stones.
Oh yeah. If I do a stone workout with 5 to 8 heavy reps, I'm done. I'm toast.
Okay.
I'm toast for a couple days.
Question, Jordan. Your guys' event, do you have a stone run in there at the end?
No stone run. Kind of got a miss between me and my training partners. Kind of get a mismatch of stones. So I wanted to keep it to the equipment that I could also load into the venue and get out easy.
That makes sense.
But I've got stone molds in the next room, and I'm going to start making stones this week.
Yeah.
2 of my training partners, Blair Mitchell and Derek Bryan, they split buying the molds a couple of years ago, and they've made themselves a couple nice stones, but not a big enough selection to have a good stone run for 5 different weight classes.
Yeah.
So how many Highland Games did you end up doing?
So my first one, I was 17 back home, and that was in Halliburton Highlands. Dreadful, awful, not very good, unrecorded. And then the first one was Antigonish, was why I didn't do Atlantics 2019, because it was the same weekend.
And Antigonish in the Highland Games,
it's the Super Bowl.
That's a big competition.
That's the oldest Highland Games outside of Scotland.
Yeah.
And it's been going on for 156 years, I believe, don't quote me, but I think that's how long it's been going on. It's only been canceled for 2 years. After World War II, when all the troops came home, and then COVID, 2019.
Wow.
Those are the only 2 reasons it's been closed.
And if you think it's hard to get into strongman,
yeah, you try to
get into Highland Games.
Yeah.
I mean, there's you 100% have to build your own equipment.
Yeah.
Or be lucky enough to stumble across a training group. And like I want to say there's only one group of guys in New Brunswick that train Highland Games regularly, and that's
RJ Forbes.
RJ Forbes, president of New Brunswick Powerlifting, is part of that group, and they're out Moncton.
Yeah.
And RJ, he's
he's only getting better now that he's in the masters category too. Like, he's going to take that.
RJ Forbes, I think he's 41 or 42 now, and he looks like he's 30.
Yeah, I was thrown off when I heard his age. I was like, that guy?
Well, when I first met him, he either pulled up in his F-150 or pulled up on his Harley or something like that with a flat brimmed hat. And I'm like, yeah, this guy's about my age. He's probably 27, 28. He's like, yeah, I'll be master in a couple of years. Oh shit! And yeah, he's only getting stronger. Like, he's not slowed down one bit. I mean, he just posted like 660 for 2 squats, 660 for 3. That's unreal.
It's like JF Karan. He's just slowly getting better. No one knows how.
Yeah. And I mean, JF Karan, he's 39.
Yeah.
And he's not slowing down, and he's still incrementally getting better and better and better. And you don't see him. He's one of my favorites. You don't see him have to take long layoffs due to injury.
Yeah. Do you follow hockey at all, Jordan?
No, not really.
Because I was going to make a reference to JF Karan. He's kind of like, so Martin Broder, he started slowing down when he was getting old. Yeah. However, positionally, he just knew where to be by time on the ice.
Yeah.
And that's kind of JF Karan's thing. He might not be as fast or as explosive when he used to be, or the younger competitors like Mateusz Kielikowski. But positionally wise, he's got that static strength, and he knows where to sit in the net. That's kind of the reference I use for him.
Yeah, it's kind of like it's kind of like heavyweight boxers and MMA fighters. Like the things that they lose due to age are not the things that really affect them in the ring, and then they just gain and gain and gain in fight IQ and power. Yeah. Well into it seems to be like well into their 40s if you look at the global landscape of heavyweights in combat sports. Like
George Foreman, the one punch that shocked the world, took the title again.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, talk about the UFC, the top 5 or 6 heavyweights in the UFC are all over 35, something like that right now. So it's and JF Karan, he showed at last World's Strongest Man, he comes in 3rd against not a great field, but that top 10 was pretty stacked.
Yeah, it was.
And he comes in 3rd at 39 and looked really, really good.
And even though he came in 3rd, and there was quite a falter on his log melee there. If he would have took that and done a little bit better, well, mind that's all in the past. Like, we say the same thing about ourselves, but he could have done even better. But it's just some shit happens, right?
Yeah. Yeah, people that have the thing with that log is when you get into, or for me, when you get into a competition and you're in a bigger room, or you're not in front of a mirror, or you're outside, man, when that log crosses your face and then you have all this open space, that really throws me off.
Yeah, because I like just in Raw there, we have it's just a beautiful room for all we have it for.
Yeah.
We're not worried about mirrors or anything like that. It's just the equipment, the space. And we left it, and then, but like I said, it's not a wide open space where I'm worried about what I'm looking at. I'm just looking at the wall 5 feet in front of me.
Yeah.
And then,
so we had a little, like a 2-week lockdown last month.
Yeah.
So I took my log and some weights home and I set it up outside.
Yeah.
And that was a big shock compared to lifting inside and being able to pick a point on the wall to
Just
go
staring
outside, staring into the sky. It really threw me off. And you hear the guys, we're talking about that at UK Strongest Man.
Yeah.
Just the way it was overcast and it was kind of gloomy. And there wasn't a real great reference point. It was throwing a lot of them off.
Yeah, a little bit of wind that day too, because Graham Hicks went for the log record there for UK, right?
Log record. Who do you of all the guys right now, who do you think is most likely to break that world log record?
Big Z. So the only reason I say that is because he made mention that he wants to do a comeback for his own record.
Yeah.
Because honestly, I like as much as I want to say the Stoltmans. Well, Tom's only getting better because he just did a double of 200, and that was a weight he couldn't do before.
Yeah, and I mean when he did the log in the finals at World's Strongest Man, he won it, didn't he?
Yeah, he did.
That's
he looked incredible.
Like for a 26-year-old man, he's hitting a stride that I think is going to propel him into the top 3 at every competition coming up.
Oh, and that's the thing too. Like in Worlds and World Ultimate Strongman, always without a doubt, their last event is Atlas Stones, and so he's guaranteed.
Yeah.
To take that, which is no matter the standings. Let's say Mateus isn't as good 1 year in Atlas Stones; it just needs one person. Boom, that drops Mateus down 3. Because that's a guaranteed event for Tom for right now.
Yeah. You say Tom, but Luke just posted that 210.
Yeah,
that was really good.
And he's had a lot of work on his shoulders too, and his triceps.
Yeah. And if he can stay healthy, he's hitting this stride in his career at 36. That is almost unbelievable to see.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Like 3 years ago, nobody had heard of him.
Yeah, like he's competing, like 10 years younger than his age and been on the scene for 10 years, right?
Yeah. And he said a lot of that is due to going full time with Strongman.
Because he was an oil rigger offshore, right?
Yeah, he was working
last while.
14 days on, 14 days off.
Yeah.
He said he won Scotland's Strongest Man like 6 times.
Yeah.
Working 14 days on, 14 days off. And then he's able to leave that job, and in a very short amount of time, he goes from a guy that wasn't even making the qualifiers at Worlds, to a guy that people are talking about, or we're talking about at last World's Strongest Man, could be in the top 5.
Yeah.
And he had a bad showing in the qualifiers, which is unfortunate because the events in the final were his events.
You imagine that log event?
I mean, he would have smoked it. I mean, the Stoltmans would have been 1 and 2 in the log.
Yeah.
And they might have been both of them on the platform.
You imagine that?
Yeah.
So speaking of Luke Stoltman there and work and everything, like myself, I will be unable to compete in Atlantics this year because I'll be deployed down south again.
Yeah.
So that opens up another spot for anybody looking to get on there.
But there's seems to be more guys not coming out of the woodwork, but coming up into open. That's really awesome. We had 6 guys compete at Atlantic Canada Strongest Man last year. There's 7 guys competing in open at New Brunswick Strongest Man, and all 7 of those could compete at Atlantics.
Oh, easily. Look.
Not to mention there seems to be more guys coming out of Pictou with Matt Sartoris and Danny's cousin Tyler. Young guy that just I think 16 or 17 just log press 300.
Yeah, I saw that. It was insane.
Yeah, and I guess he's a phenomenal rugby player.
Yeah,
but yeah, he's 16 or 17 log presses 300. I think he squats 650. It's just insane.
Yeah, it is.
And now what Zane is doing in PEI, there should be more guys competing in PEI and coming over to the competitions in New Brunswick, Nova Scotia.
With that being said, if lockdown does not open up, I personally don't think it would be right for anyone to host an event and call it Atlantics, right?
No.
And I'm saying that on the Halifax side because it's usually where they host it.
Yeah.
But that would make absolutely no sense. Even if somebody just wants to claim the title, if the lockdown is not open, there should be no Atlantic Strongest. Like we should do a Nova Scotia Strongest Man. I don't know
Absolutely.
why we're not. And actually speaking of that, Raw, we're going to be hosting something in the fall. Once we get back, and then once all the summer, all the events kind of cool down, everyone has time to recoup and redo what they're doing. I just got off the phone with Greg Ernst there on Monday.
Yeah.
And for anyone that doesn't know, he's World's Strongest Man competitor, 91, 92.
Yeah.
Beat Magnus from Magnuson. What's that?
Husafel stone record holder at one point.
Yeah, beat Magnus. And I when I talked to him on the phone, I asked him, I was like, Greg, when you did your Husafel carry, why'd you stop? Because you see him take a minute and then he just drops it. He's like, well, at that point, I already won that event, but I couldn't get any higher in the standings.
Yeah.
And he's like, that's one of his biggest regrets of his career because he saw Half Thor just got 90 meters. He's like, I should have walked back and got 100.
Yeah.
But I asked him if he'd come down to be a head referee or guest referee, and he said he'd be honored. So for anyone in the strength community that doesn't know who Greg Ernst is in strongman, look him up because he's a local guy in Lunenburg and he's phenomenal.
Yeah. Yeah, those 91, 92 World's Strongest Man. I looked them up again last week because Jordan Prophet messaged me with some trivia questions for you, asking to ask you, who's the only Atlantic Canadian to go to Worlds and who's the Atlantic Canadian that held the Husafel record.
Yeah. And the backlift record, 5,000 and change.
Yeah. Yeah, the backlift record. I think he did that in Lunenburg, didn't he?
Yeah, at an X there.
Yeah.
He warmed up with an oxen cart and then he went to 2 cars.
Yeah.
His lifting jacket was just a flannel jacket. Like, that's insane. Yeah.
So if the bubble is not open, do you think that event at Raw Power would be Nova Scotia Strongest Man?
Yep. I believe so. I believe it would be, and I believe it would be a good show.
Yeah.
Because our friend Kyle there, he owns Iron Shell Forge,
yep.
And he's the one we get all of our kind of different strongman stuff that you can't just buy online, same as you guys would make, or same as Zane would make, right? So and we got a couple things kind of coming down the woodwork here now that we haven't seen in a while, and one of them actually being the silver dollar deadlift.
Yeah.
We're getting our stands made because I know there's a ton of guys that want to do it, including Brad. The first time he ever pulled on the silver dollar deadlift was Atlantics 2018, and he pulled 950 pounds. And so, he's only going to get better from there too.
Yeah.
I want to see what he can do.
Yeah. So, if the bubble does open and teams goes through, who's your partner for teams?
Brad Tremblett.
Brad Tremblett. Okay.
Yeah.
Was he the guy that competed at Pictou?
Yeah, he was.
Okay. Yeah. I get him and Maxim confused.
Okay. Maxime Gravel there.
Yeah, just because I don't know them.
Yeah.
Yeah, Brad Tremblay. He was really good at Pictou.
Yeah, he was.
He did
surprisingly quick too.
He did 485 on the deadlift for 15 reps, I think.
I think so.
So yeah, it was a 485 axle deadlift, touch and go, and he got 15 reps. I think the next guy was I want to say the next guy was Jordan Prophet, who got 11, and then
probably Matt Torres, right?
And me and Matt Torres tied.
Okay.
Tied at 9, I think. He'll probably correct me though. He likes to message me after these podcasts and let me know when I'm wrong. Brad, he came in 3rd at Pictou.
Yep.
That was a great event. 3.
Oh, that was. Well, it was outside. It was nice.
Outside. 3 events. It took 2 hours. It was just a, like a friendly lifting session. I had a blast, and I'm going to continue doing that competition. I think
Absolutely.
that was great.
The only reason I didn't go into that one, I wanted to, was because of Atlantic. So I didn't, not that I didn't want to get hurt or anything, but I didn't want to kind of mess up my training a little. Not that it would,
Yeah.
because most of the events were in line with what we're doing anyways. A loading medley, a grip event, but
Yeah, I'd just been itching for competition.
yeah,
And it was only 3 events, so I wasn't trashed afterwards. Even a 5 event day, I'm pretty trashed. I'll be interested to see how I feel after a 2-day, 8 event competition this year, as long as Atlantics goes through.
speaking of that event in Pictou there, who really blew everybody out of the water was Lisa with her farmer's walk.
Yes.
So this year's the only year she's ever done competitions, and the years that she's only ever been in like an actual weightlifting gym.
Yeah.
She's never been under the bar belleview's and she beat Sam Bellevue's record.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can't remember the weight that they were using to pick. I want to say it might have been 110 or 120 a hand.
Yeah.
Something like that. But yeah, Lisa just kept going and going and going and going.
Yeah, lap
And
and lap.
she blew it out of the water. That was a tough event. 210 a hand for max distance.
Yeah.
100 feet in turn.
Yeah.
And their handles, I don't know if you got a chance to grab them, but their handles are thin.
Like Denny Stone's ripped her hands right through.
Yeah. Yeah, it was tough. That's I think, those kind of smaller competitions, I hope that there's more of them going forward. 2, 3 events.
So speaking about that, what I would like to see, like I said, it's just my opinion though, but would be for Atlantics, let's say, for someone to qualify, I would like to follow it kind of in the roots of the Giants Live. For someone to qualify, they would have to get, let's say, top 3 in a different event, whether it be a friendly event or wherever else be. But not only, would people know who these people are, but it would give more opportunity for venues to host stuff, because they actually need, it would be a supply and demand now.
Yeah, so last year before Newfoundland Strongest Man, I talked to Evan O'Coin and Kyle. I forget his last name. Something my tongue. They're running kind of the organization that is organizing all the competitions in Newfoundland, and they're using a qualifying system for Newfoundland Strongest Man now. So what they have is, you have to get a top 3 in another event to qualify for Newfoundland Strongest Man, and they're actually they're almost on a schedule where they're going to have at least one every quarter, culminating with Newfoundland Strongest Man, and you have to qualify.
Well, that's good, because once again, you can kind of set your timing out. Let's say if you're not going to make the first one, or even from like military members out there, let's say if they're gone for 6 months and they still know they have another event either before or after back.
So how long is your deployment going to last?
So this one's just small. I just got posted to the MCVDs for my first time, so it's only 3 months.
Okay.
But it's stil summer. I'm gone.
Yeah.
And then I'll get back at the end of August, and then I got a wedding in October 2nd. I'm getting married to my missus there, Sarah Warren.
Congratulations.
Thank you. So COVID didn't rattle that, so we're good.
That's good. It derailed a lot of people and a lot of things, and
and then the people that tried doing the weddings anyways and get charged $10,000.
Just wow, that would have just eloped.
Yeah. Well, what do you mean eloped? You can't go anywhere.
Just gone to the courthouse.
Yeah.
One of my training partners, Blair, he had a COVID wedding.
Okay.
He could only have 25 or 50 guests, I think.
Yeah.
And he was able to do it above board, and he had fun, but I'm sure it wasn't as fun as it would have been without COVID.
Yeah.
But I mean, in the grand scheme of things, having to change up your wedding a little bit is kind of
there's a lot
potatoes. compared to what a lot of people are dealing with.
Yeah.
In Atlantic Canada, we're doing pretty good, I think.
Yeah, we're kind of the check mark of the world right now for COVID.
Yeah, I mean, New Brunswick, we're down. We had a rough patch for January, the start of February. We're down to 66 active cases, and we're only getting 1 or 2 new cases a day. So
Yeah,
I'm hoping that by the time New Brunswick Strongest Man comes around, that COVID won't be an issue for people coming into St. John to compete.
yeah.
I don't know about Nova Scotia, but they've got us kind of designated into zones. And
I think we have zones. I don't think it's hard to say. I'm not sure. I don't want to get blasted by people telling me this or that. But we only have 20 active cases. That I know.
Yeah. So they've got us cut up into zones, and under our current restrictions, they're discouraging non-essential travel between the zones. So unless we move down a level of restriction by April, might have to postpone New Brunswick's. But the way things are trending right now, as long as we don't have another huge outbreak, it should be good. I mean, the Atlantic bubble is definitely not going to be open by then, but
Yeah.
But I'm hoping that at least everybody from New Brunswick will be able to come and compete.
Yeah.
And our venue is huge. And they've got a COVID operational plan for their CrossFit gym. So we're just going to adhere to their plan.
Nice.
And I actually may end up running 3 lifting sessions through the day. So split all the competitors into 3 groups, and have one competition at 8 a.m., one competition at noon, one competition at 4, so we don't go over the number that can be in the gym.
Well, that makes sense. Kind of like how they're doing with the powerlifting right now, just kind of blocks.
Yeah. I mean, so New Brunswick Powerlifting was able to do a competition. I believe Nova Scotia Powerlifting and WPC did competitions in Nova Scotia, and as far as I've heard, they all went off without a hitch. But that, it just comes down to planning.
Yeah, absolutely.
Make a good plan and stick to the plan, and that's what the powerlifting competitions have been able to do so far. But I mean, when we did Atlantics, everything was loosened then because there wasn't a lot of cases in Atlantic Canada, so it wasn't a big deal to drive to Halifax from St. John and compete and drive back. But I know that if restrictions had been tighter then, surely they would have adjusted the competition for that.
So, question, Jordan. So it's obviously it's your event for New Brunswick Strongest Man, but you're not competing in it, correct?
No.
So that way you can kind of continue. So your next event would be the team event.
Yeah. So I mean, unless the bubble opens before the team event, if the bubble opened before the team event in time for, say, the WPC powerlifting meet in Halifax, or if there was even a CPU meet in New Brunswick and Nova Scotia, I would do powerlifting just to compete.
Yeah.
As far as I'm concerned right now, my next competition is the team event. So it's me and Bryan.
Yep.
Derek's really strong.
Yeah, he is.
He's just coming back from an injury. He tore his bicep in 2019, summer 2019, and I don't think he's competed since then. But he's training hard now. He's looking strong. So hopefully I can pick up the slack on a couple things like stones.
First event in Max Atlas stones in 2 minutes, right?
Yeah. I think I'll be doing a lot of those.
Yeah. Okay. That's a grueling event, first one in. I like it though, but that's a pretty big event right out of the gate.
I mean, it's a tough competition.
Yeah, it is.
He's got max stones, stone for reps, axle deadlift for reps.
Yeah.
I know.
I thought it was max axle. I know it's log for reps.
It's log for reps and max axle. So we got stone for reps and max axle.
Yeah.
And then he's going to have some kind of crazy long carry medley.
Yeah.
Double log for reps, Hercules hold, truck pull.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's gonna be a tough event.
It's going to be a good one.
Yeah, eight events over 2 days, and it's tough. Yeah, and there's some strong teams going in. Yourself and Brad, Joey Lavalley and John Beaulieu. John Beaulieu, who's coming back. I don't think he's competed in strongman in a few years, but he's coming back for New Brunswick's, and then
Nice.
he's gonna compete at the team competition. What's been impressive so far is Grant and Jordan.
Yeah.
Their training footage so far of Jerry rigging the log to do the double log, and
Yeah.
they built a double axle.
Yeah.
So
we pulled the one. We only posted one. We're only actually going to post one video of us pulling on the bar there, and just to feel it. And I was surprised at how fast. Like as long as you're timed right with your partner, the right guy. Yeah, we're wondering which one of us had the weight, because it went up correct. And then we talked like, well, that's going to be it. We're just going to let everyone find out what we're going to do at comp, kind of thing, not reveal all the secrets.
Yeah, I post a fair amount of training videos, but I like to always keep a couple.
Absolutely.
Just for myself, and I'll share them with training partners, but I don't post everything. I definitely don't post the misses. Yeah, the deadlift and the log, that'll be interesting because Derek, he doesn't really push press.
Okay.
He never has. He's done all his logs strict, and I push press. So we're gonna have to figure that out.
You might have to push press this side up and then kind of sideways Viking press yours.
Yeah, and I'm a fairly slow deadlifter too, so it'll be interesting to see how we can do with that. Might have to tape 2 axles together here soon and try it out. Yeah. This has been great.
That is fantastic.
Yeah.
Surprised. No other questions, eh?
No, I think we're good for now. We've been talking for 45 minutes. Is there anything else you want to talk
about? That's pretty well it on my end. I think we covered all the notes really wanted to say.
Yeah. So you think Big Z is going to come back and break his own log record?
Well, that's what he says, and I want to believe him because I love Big Z. Like, well, he's the GOAT for strongman. As much as Mariusz Pudzianowski has 5 titles, a lot of the boys were in IFSA during that. So he had, not to say he had lighter competition, but he kind of did.
He did. Those years for Worlds, they kind of, it feels like they might have tailored the competition a little bit to Mariusz, where it ended up being lighter. It was definitely lighter than what the IFSA competitions were. Big Z is clearly the GOAT. You look at the Worlds wins, the IFSA wins, the Arnold wins, everything like that, the log record.
Yeah.
There's really no, I can't say there's no argument because Brian Shaw's right there too.
Yeah. And they're both super humble.
Yeah. Yeah. So it's, I won't even argue who the GOAT is. I'll just say that the 2 best ever are Brian Shaw and Big Z.
And they're also at the same time too. So it's not to say that they had unfair competitions, right? They're back and forth.
Yeah, in Worlds and the Arnold.
Yeah.
I mean, then there's the age-old questions of, well, who's the strongest guy to never win Worlds?
Yeah. Oh, to never win.
Yeah. Who's the strongest to you? Who's the strongest guy to never win Worlds?
It's either Derek Poundstone or Odie Wilson for the time frame.
Yes, I can agree with that.
Yeah.
I think, when I first started, at least watching strongman was kind of at the height of Derek Poundstone, like late 2000s.
Yeah.
And it just still amazes me that he never really won a major title.
He won an Arnold's.
He did. Did he win or did he come second?
I think he won 2002. I'm pretty sure he won one. Let me check right now.
I think he came in second.
I don't want to put money on this. He might have came second, but
or no, it was he came in second or third at the Worlds.
Yeah, but he's
Oh yeah, so he won two Arnolds.
oh, good for him.
2009, 2010. Yeah, sorry, Derek Poundstone, if you're gonna listen, I'm sorry for doubting you. Even for me, Worlds is not the benchmark of who's the world's strongest man.
Right.
It's the Arnold.
And it's because it was the one of the creators for Worlds, the Scottish guy there from all the Rogue movies. What's his name? David Webster.
Yeah.
He didn't like, because it was the infamous loss for O.D. Wilson with John Paul Sigmarsson in 1990.
Yeah, doing the loaded run.
Yeah, John Paul Sigmarsson sprinted, and O.D. Wilson's he's too big of a man.
Yeah.
And after that, he went to Arnold with Jan Todd and Terry Todd.
Yeah.
And they created the Arnold Classic, and then that's where all the eyes are now, are the Arnolds.
For sure. I mean, Worlds is a great competition, and and the guys that go to Worlds and the guys that win Worlds are, the cream of the crop. But
absolutely,
the Arnolds is the biggest, heaviest competition of any year.
Yeah.
I mean, it was getting a little out of control for a couple of years.
Yeah.
Like the 1,500 pound yokes, things like that.
The bale yoke, 15.
Doing the frame carry with straps, and it was like 1,000-pound frame carry with straps.
Yeah. What I like about the Arnolds is because they have the backing by Rogue, obviously. Seeing all these implements like the Conan's wheel when that first came out, I was like, what is that?
Yeah. I mean, 60, it's 60 seconds. And everybody that does it says, well, if you slow down, the sand and the wheels kind of shift back and makes it even worse. So you've got to go all out for the whole 60 seconds.
Go all out, and there's no inertia that you can keep moving. You're just literally going out.
It's not like pulling or pushing a truck where once it starts rolling, it gets easier.
Yeah.
It's just, it's static the whole time.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, the wheel of pain, the elephant bar deadlift, the Hummer tire deadlift, the frame uphill, like that was, in the really heavy, crazy years, that was always my favorite part of the Arnold, was the frame going uphill
on an incline.
Yeah. And Big Z, Bryan always did great, and Jerry Pritchett always blew that frame carry out of the water.
Well, now look at Mateus, 7 seconds flat.
Wild.
Yeah.
Hopefully he's back from injury soon. Is he invited to the Shaw Classic?
I don't think he was in the Shaw Classic.
No, but I think he's invited for this upcoming one.
Yeah, and then I got pushed back there too from the 27th a little bit.
Yeah. So I was looking at the website the other day, and they're actually going to have 16 this year at the Shaw Classic. 16.
Actually, Max Rose there again this year, right?
JF and Maxime are there. Both Stoltmans are there.
Nice.
And then all the other, regular players, top 15 guys in the world. Yeah. I think that's everything.
I think that's good.
Yeah. I'm sure we can do this again sometime.
It was a pleasure being on there.
No, thanks for coming on. For those listening, this is going to be coming out from here on out. This is going to come out weekly.
Yep.
I'm going to record Wednesday nights and release it on Thursdays. So next week, I'm talking to equipped powerlifter Lucas Chapman,
Nice,
who trains at Renfrew, and he's. And then the week after, I'm going to talk to his twin brother, who is also an equipped powerlifter. So that's the next 2 weeks lined up. And yeah. So when do you leave? When do you ship out?
Well, it's just with us is the workup. So I got a little bit of sailing before the team event, so I'm gonna have to use that as a deload, I guess.
Yeah.
Then I'll be back for a couple days to do our event. And then kind of mid-May, I'm kind of sailing off and on for workups. And then I leave June till the end of August.
Right on.
And I got to figure something out because there's no gym on the MCVD. So
Nothing at all.
I mean, there's a set of dumbbells and elliptical, which is not up my alley.
Push-ups and sit-ups and
Push-ups and burpees, yeah.
burpees and
The leanest open guy, other than Massatoris.
yeah, he's just too skinny. I mean, he's got to gain some weight.
Yeah.
Come on, Matt. You know, I'm trying to perpetuate this myth that he is skinny.
He's 250 pounds.
But he's 6'5", 250, 260. Like he's a big man.
Yeah.
But I think if I say it enough, people are going to be surprised when they meet him.
Yeah.
That's my hope.
Keep calling him skinny. Yeah. Yeah.
If I just call him skinny enough, people will think it's true, and they'll be surprised when they meet him and he's actually 6'5", 260. You know, he's going to be probably a 700-pound deadlifter this year.
Yeah.
So Pat, thanks for coming on. You know, if I don't talk to you between now and teams, I'll see you at teams.
Absolutely.
So good luck with training. Stay safe and stay healthy.
It was a pleasure. Take care, Drew.
Thank you.